Hi, my name is Vicky Feldman. I'm a product manager in Public Sector Revenue Management Suite of Product, and this video tutorial will help you to understand how to enable and customize various self-service features, and this specific chapter will help you to understand how to define in self-service tax or registration form that is available in PSRM. So let's say in PSRM, I have sales and use form and I want to enable it for online filing. How do I do it? So first, let's look at this form in PSRM. In form type, I want to choose this form. Here. And this is how this form look. It has 3 sections: taxpayer information, line items, and prepare information. And each of this section has the collection of the lines, and it also has certain validation rules. So if I look at the rules, it has validation rules, it has posting rules, it has all these different rules. This is how my form looks online in PSRM. This is taxpayer information section, line items, and prepare information. Okay, so now let's try to import this form to PSRM. To do that, I need to log on to PSRM as administrator, which means that my user should have the admin privileges, which will let me go and choose configuration. I have to go to configuration section and I have to go to import form definition. Import form definition allows you to import form structure from PSRM. So I want to import tax form, and this is the category that I'm choosing. And when I say search, it will show me all tax form that are available in PSRM, active enable tax form. So I want to import sales and use short form. I say import, and what it does, it goes to form type and it copies all metadata, all form metadata to PSRM self-service. And so this is my new form. The moment I imported it, it's now available in list of imported form. So I can just click on it and it'll open it up in form designer. So you can see that the form definition is copied. However, all processing attributes and action and other section are not defined for obvious reason. You would need to define them. And if I go to layout designer, this is the structure of my form, and you can see that it exactly represents the same structure that we saw in PSRM. This is taxpayer information section, line item section, and prepare information. So if I say preview right now, it will show the form, but you will see that this form is kind of like empty. There are no description, there are no drop down, and if you enable this form right now, this is what users see, and this may be okay, but you probably want to make this form nicer for implementation. So let's see what you can do with this form right now. So what I want to do, I want to add different characteristics of the form and show you how the form layout will change. So first characteristic that I want to do, I want to add form instruction. And form instruction is the information which will be displayed on the side of the form. So in order for me to add the form instruction, I need to go to UCM and check in the file that contains the form instructions. Form instructions are HTML, so define form instructions into HTML. Go check them in the Oracle Content Management and give the name of the file. It's all explained in documentation. I'm just showing you how it works. So after we've done that, if I go now to Layout Designer and say preview and remember how you can, in any point of time, look at your form, you will see that now there is a side panel here, and this is form instructions. So it's HTML. You can make it colorful, you can make it beautiful, you can add hyperlinks and everything that HTML supports, but the most important information, your form instructions, will be displayed on the side, and you can suppress them, or the person who fills the form can suppress them, or he can enable them. So now I'm returning back to Layout Designer and to Form Definition. And now this field, as we talked before, will allow you to link OPA interview. So let's say I want to add OPA interview, which describe who needs to file a registration form. So once I say save, this will appear next to the form definition. If I say preview right now, you will see that there is an online interview right here next to the form name. Do you need to register and report sales and use taxes? And this interview leads you through the simple questionnaires that helps taxpayer to understand if he needs to file sales and use taxes and whether he needs to go and register for that. Let's go back to form definition and see which other attributes you can add. So I'm going back to form definition, and you can specify the period of time when your form should be available. If you don't want to show your form into a certain period of time because it's, for example, it's individual income tax form and you only want to enable it for tax filing starting from the end of the filing period. You can specify blackout period start and blackout period date end, and in this period the form will not be visible for filing, will not be available for filing. Now, so in this section you define in which mode you want to process your form, whether you want to prompt taxpayer to add the payment if it's a flat fee amount, or you want to define one line as the payment amount line. Payment instruction, please pay this amount. Upload instructions, so if you want your taxpayer to upload additional documents such as receipts or attachments, you can specify your upload instructions here. You first of all enable this feature, which will request taxpayer or give the ability to taxpayer to upload the supporting document, and here you can write the instructions. Please upload attachments. Okay. And these three attributes specify whether taxpayer needs to receive the email after he finished filing with the information and confirmation, and which message should be displayed upon confirmation. Actions. Actions will show you the buttons which will be available for taxpayers. So I'm happy with the buttons that already checked, and I just wanna taxpayer to be able to copy the information from his previous tax return, and this is only applicable to enrolled taxpayer. So now the general instructions and information on the form level is specified, and I can go to Layout Designer. First, I need to save this information, and then I can go to Layout Designer. So let's look at this form in preview mode and see how we can enhance it, how can we make it better. So this looks okay, but it looks plain. So what I can do here, I can make some drop downs. For example, for ID type and for state and for country. Right now it's just a text field, and we can turn it into drop down. We can hide field address too, and we can maybe add some kind of nice descriptions for section top and for section bottom, and maybe for some fields. So let's go back to Layout Designer, and start making it look nicer. So if I click on section, what I can do here, I can put some kind of text or even better HTML in the header and footer section. I have examples which I want to copy into this field. So this is the header, okay, and this is the footer. Okay, so let's see how it looks now. It looks better because right now we have some information in top and some information on the bottom. So now let's go back and start playing with the fields. I want to make a field name shorter because right now it's too big, and I want to change it into business name because sales and use tags are applicable to business. I want to make ID type drop down, and in order to do that, I need to define it as a lookup. So let's see if I already have ID type lookup. If I do, I can use it. If not, I can just add it. So this is ID type for business works. Okay. Country, we can make drop down as well. So lookup, and there is existing lookup country. Address 1 is again too large. I want to make it shorter. Address 2 is not even needed. Let's say I want to hide it. City is fine. State we can make drop down. Look up again. So state here. Okay. Postal is fine and the other fields are fine. Now let me show you how we can add also hints on the fields. For example, I want to put divider between name, ID type, and ID number, and the address. And there is a little trick how you can do it. You can go to preceding field and you can put the hint like that. So this is example of how you can do divider. Okay. And all this information is available in the demo data. So if you wanna look at details of how that was done, go back to demo data and review the specific form. And for example, I want to add another hint. I want to add the hint to filing period start date. I want to explain how to define filing period start date, and I want to give a reference to the website that explains it. So this is example of the hint that has a hyperlink. Okay, so now let's see what happens. We go back to preview mode, and we now see that the field that there is a field, the business name, ID type turned into drop down, country has turned into drop down, a state turned into drop down. This is my divider that I've added, and this is my hyperlink. Okay, so if I click it, I can go to the actual site that explains how to derive the date. Okay, I'm happy with my form. I go back to Layout Designer. I go back to the form definition and I say Finalize Layout. And this creates a form version that I can enable. So once I enable this form, it will become available for online filing. So I'm going here, finding my form, do the search. There is a first initial form version that I created, and I'm saying activate. If in any point of time you want to make the changes to this form, you just go back to Layout Designer and you move it back to pending status. You make the changes, finalize them. This way you will create a new form version and you activate this new. So now let's see how this form looks for the end user. So I'm an end user and I want to go and file my sales and use. So I'm going to online services, choosing this form. Note, yeah, that it became available here. So sales and use short form, and this is our form. So header that we specified, dividers, hyperlink, everything is here. So I can start putting the data, C and C corporation, ID type, country, and once I'm done with the filing and hit submit button, my form will be submitted. But there is something missing here, so I can go and start typing the numbers, and once I finish the typing, I can say check form data, but notice that it says that the data is correct, even though it's obviously not correct. If we want the forms to be validated, we need to either implement validation rules in Oracle Policy Automation, and I'll explain how to do it in one of the next chapters, but we can also go to PSRM, and if the form is defined in PSRM, like in our case, we can enable the form rules. This is our form in PSRM, and if I go to the rules, I see that there are some validation rules that are called when the form is executed. So what I want to do, I want to add a new rule event, and the rules that are specified in this rule event will be called when the form is validated in self-service. So this new event is WSS validate, and I will just add the same validation that exists for online validation. So let's add line common validation, and let's add, okay, let's add another group, line specific validation. Okay, save. So I've done that. I hit the save button, and now my new validation events are saved. So hopefully if I do the same right now, and if I go and if I say check form data, this validation will be called and I get the error message, and it's indeed the error message. So what happens when I say check form data? The XML with the form data is sent to PSRM, and PSRM checks which validation rules for rule event WSS validate are available, and then it executes the validation using this rule. And obviously there was an error, so this error was reflected in the rule validation. So what I want to do next, I want to go ahead and try to file this form as the registered user. So I will log out from here, and now I will log on as the registered user, and my name is Margaret Williams. So there is a user, Margaret Williams, and she already has some sales and use form history. So she has a business account, and this business account is West Coast Office Supplies, and you can see that under this account she files sales and use taxes. So if I say view account, I will see that there is already some filing history, and last sales and use form was filed for this filing period. So what I want to do now, I want to go and I want to submit sales and use form for the new filing period. So this is our form, but what I can do now, because I am a registered taxpayer, I can copy from previous return, and this should pick up the information from the system, from PSRM, and populate it. So see, now I don't have to file, I don't have to populate anything manually. And let's assume that all the numbers this year are the same. So the only thing that we want to do, we want to change filing period for the next one. And that's gonna be 2011. Check form data, no errors, because this form was already validated. We know that there is no errors. So we say ready. We can say print, And as I mentioned before, this will create PDF image of the form here. Okay, so this is all the information that was populated on the form. Okay, submit. Let's say okay. And now the confirmation number is displayed back to me. So what I can do with this confirmation, I can go and find this form in PSRM. So let's go to main menu, self-service, service task. And if I do the service task by confirmation ID, right, this is the form that was sent to PSRM. So for every request that comes from PSRM, the object which is called self-service task is created, and you can always find this object by confirmation ID, and we record in this object everything that happens with the request. So that was a request to create a sales form, and the sales induced form is created. We can look at that. So this is the form, and I can edit it, I can validate it, I can post it, and the form will be created for this taxpayer. So now you can see how easy it is to take the form that exists in PSRM, import it to self-service, add some beautification, specify the rules that needs to be called from self-service, and then it's ready to be filed by the online user. And that concludes our chapter on how to implement in self-service the form that is already defined in PSRM.